Canada's heading into an election within the next week. And I think for Canadians, we have to ask some important questions before you mark your ballot. First and foremost, what's the last 10 years been like in Canada as a Canadian, as a tax-paying Canadian? Do you feel that you're better off than 10 years ago? Do you actually feel that the government has been taking care of us as Canadians? These are really important questions that we need to ask ourselves. Who truly has been taking care of Canadians? Well, how about the next question that we should ask ourselves is the fact is, do you think Mark Carney's Liberals are going to be any different than Justin Trudeau's Liberals? I mean, after all, Mark Carney admittedly was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. In fact, during the trucker convoy, he's the one who actually suggested seizing the bank accounts. So is that the kind of reaction that we expect from a government that's going to turn around and punish Canadians? This is the thing that I think we have to really consider in the future is, do we have a housing plan in place? I mean, it's great. Look, here's the fact, is that Carney will sit there and tell you that he's going to build, 500,000 homes a year. How? I mean, his description of a home basically sounds like a shed. He's sitting there saying, it's going to be more efficient, easier to build. We're going to prefab everything. I mean, is that really what Canadians deserve? I mean, let's think about this for a second. Here's a guy that has absolutely no idea on how to run a country. I mean, he wants to sit there and take claim that, Brookfield is this huge, massive conglomerate company in the world, and, he's able to tax shelter them all over the place, but he's not looking for Canadians. What about the fact is that, the immigration policy of the Liberals blew open Canada and it increased our debt because all we're doing for a lot of new migrants coming in is paying the freight? I mean, is this really what we see for the future for our children? See, my point is that we need a change. I don't think the last 10 years has been very good for Canada. In fact, I'm pretty darn sure that it's been horrible. Okay, our debt has gone through the roof. Speaking of debt, economist Carney is sitting there saying, he's going to, cut government spending, but then basically said he's going to continue to, double down on the deficit. I mean, his financial proposal in the last week was an absolute joke to the point where he had to take it down. I mean, do we really want a leader that's going to sit there and say, you're not going to own the house. I want to get everybody to net zero. I mean, let's think about this realistically. Can we get rid of oil? No, the world needs oil, okay? Can we make things a little bit better? Sure we can. But to force the public, force the taxpayers into a situation where it's going to hurt us. And he made it very clear in a book that he wrote that, we must suffer to get ahead. Do we really? I think as Canadians, we suffered enough. So will the Carney Liberals be any different than the Trudeau Liberals? Well, they're the same players, same people. They shift their cabinet around a little and give somebody else a different name. But we know what our finance minister looked like. That was a complete joke. We know what our prime minister looked like. A couple of years ago, Justin Trudeau promised, that he's going to build 3.8 million homes by 2031. Carney's promising the same number. Trudeau did nothing. Same people working. So how are we going to have that problem solved with Carney's fake promise? I think that's really what we need to drill down, is the fact our existing government, the one in power right now, which, by the way, hasn't been doing anything but spending money all over the world and not even considering the debt that they're putting Canadians in. Is it time for a change? It is. But the only way we can change, and I've talked about this for the last several years, is the fact that it's going to come at the polls. We have to make the change. If they're going to leave it open for a true democratic approach to an election, then we are the ones who are now in power. Finally, we can take back and make a change so Canada can turn around and start rebuilding. I don't want to sit there and use the phrase, let's make Canada great again. How about we just make Canada great, okay? As a Canadian, I worry about the next generation. one of the most important things we need to worry about is what's going to be left for our kids and our grandkids. I mean, realistically, for some of us, yeah, we've had a pretty decent life. We've had to work hard and we paid taxes. Right now, the existing government doesn't care if you're a tax-paying Canadian. They'd rather turn around and bring in people so they can get a vote and they can turn around and give away our money. When we take a look at what's happening in the world, we can't blame everything on the United States as the existing Liberal government wants to do. Okay, the fact is Canada is struggling because Canada is struggling. It's not tariffs, because the majority of that really hasn't hit home. The fact is that our government doesn't want to explore all of our trades, everything that we could do. We've never made ourselves independent, and the government right now is realizing they screwed up. Do we reward bad behavior with more bad behavior? No, I don't think so. I think it's time for a change. And this week is the time for Canadians to stand up and make a change. Love to hear your comments on this. And as I always wrap it up, one of the most important things is today's vote is going to matter to tomorrow's kids. You know that, right? And if you think what we've had in the last 10 years is the right thing, we're not doing our kids justice for their future. Anyways, let me know what you think. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Todd Slater.